Well, good evening.
Good evening.
I have my good friend and scouting buddy, David Wehbie, W-E-H-B-I-E.
Correct, Richard.
That's a part of the Navy that you and
Mike Bolus. We had an assistant scoutmaster, Mike Bolus.
Lebanese Navy.
Yeah, he was Lebanese. He is Lebanese, and I am. And we were on a canoe, and Richard called us the Lebanese Navy. So it was pretty funny.
Well, anyways, I'm interviewing David because he is just a fantastic instructor. He was scoutmaster in our troop. The kids absolutely loved him, and he just has a heart and a passion for education, and he just really wants to talk today about that journey that he had into education and what led him into becoming a professional welder. So, well done.
well done, yeah.
So I'll let you get started about your background.
I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, and had a great scouting group in Raleigh. A few troops and very active. We even had jamborees and things at various venues in Raleigh at the time. And I had two older brothers, and they were in scouts, and they would come home from camping trips and camporees, and I would smell that campfire on them, and it just made me want to go. And so as soon as I could join Scouts, I did, and was in Cub Scout Pack 10, and at that time Webelos just started, and I went into Webelos, and then I went into Boy Scouts, and had a ball learning and doing and camping and learning from the older scouts. The older scouts were responsible for teaching us and showing us what to do, and had a great organization. I did not make Eagle Scout though. I did do Star Scout, and I stayed involved in scouting. I even went into Explorer Post, at a local Explorer Post, and at a TV station. It was Post 5, and we produced a Saturday morning TV show for scouting, and we even took a big mobile truck full of photographers, full of video equipment things, and went to camporees and places, and did news shows for scouts. I stayed involved in scouting, but I did not have the personal initiative to push myself to earn my life and my Eagle, and I oftentimes regret that. And we can have scoutmasters pushing us, we can have parents pushing us, but it's up to you as a scout to say, this is what I want to do. It's going to take my energy and my effort, and I'm going to go for it.
Amen.
And seek all the help you can to get it done, because that's what your leaders and your parents are there for. But it's up to you as a scout to have that initiative to get it done. And I'm so glad that you're involved in this virtual summer camp.
Thank you.
It's just an awesome thing that's offered to you, and get all you can. And I know you have Richard's contact and the other people's contacts, and they're lifelong people for you to stay in touch with, for you to ask questions to help you grow and be on your path to Eagle, because I'm sure you can do it.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. Well, I enjoyed Scouts, and I grew up in Raleigh, and I went to elementary, middle school, and high school in Raleigh, and it was my time as a high school senior to start looking at what I wanted to do, and I did not want to go to a 4-year college. It did not appeal to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do something, really just very relevant, and go ahead and get to work as quick as I could. and I went into computer engineering technology. And in the late 70s, it was brand new stuff. And I learned a lot. I went to a local community college and learned some information technology, computers, the way computers worked then, and laptop was still the size of a piece of plywood just about, but you know, I did that, and then I decided to go to local university, North Carolina State University, home of the Wolfpack.
Go to the Wolfpack.
And I started taking some classes in industrial arts education, woodworking, metalworking, drafting, design, electricity, electronics. It's what we used to call shop, basically. Now it's called technology education. But I took some specific hands-on classes in woodworking and metalworking just to explore, to see what I liked. I was working at the time. I was working at Sears Automotives, working on cars, and they even sent me to Atlanta for training, technical training, so I had more training. It wasn't a college, it wasn't a community college, it was specific training. So that was one way to learn, was an employer sending me to schools. You can look at doing that also. But I went to university, and I had a professor that took an interest in me. He said, "David, you're doing really good work in these classes. I really would like for you to start thinking about teaching industrial arts." And it kind of excited me. For one is that professor would take the interest in me. And we all need to connect with an older person in the area that we want to study that can mentor us, that helps out greatly. And we need to listen to them and learn from them, get all we can from their mind. And I went to a middle school and observed a teacher there that was a crackerjack teacher. He was really a good teacher. Kids were they were learning, they were active, and he had everything organized to a T, and the students were being very successful. They were building robotics and just all kinds of stuff. And then I went to a high school and observed a teacher there, and it was quite the opposite. It was a mess. It was just an old woodworking class that was not well structured. He would holler at the students. They didn't like him, because who wants to be with their enemy for 45, 50 minutes a period, you know? It was awful. And from that, we can learn from all things. And from that I said, these high school students deserve better. And that kind of struck a spark in me. I said, well, I'm going to get into teaching, and I'm going to give these students a really good experience where they can learn and be exciting about it. And that's what I did. I finished my degree at the university, and then I got a job teaching. I taught about 9 years in middle school. Had an excellent experience. I taught woodworking, electronics, small engine repair, architectural design, just all kinds of classes. And my students made all kinds of things out of wood and metal, and it was exciting. And I even had other teachers come and watch me to see what I was doing, and that was a compliment. Then I continued at the university while I was teaching and got my master's degree. I had some mentors that encouraged me to do that so that I could get into a leadership position. And so after I taught about 9 years, I got into educational administration for the school system, and I was in charge of technical education. And I wanted that role because just as I saw that I could help students learn and grow, I could help the teachers learn and grow and become better. We were talking about why I went to administration and out of the classroom was so I could have a broader impact. I could help teachers out. The same passion I had for students to learn and grow, I developed that same passion for helping teachers learn and grow, and that's why I went to administration in the school system. And Wake County Schools is the 15th largest school system in the country. And so I had the opportunity. I had about 450 technical education teachers that I was supporting. And I was in that for a while. And then I decided to go to the state, had the opportunity to be in charge of the technical education for the state of North Carolina, trade and industrial education. And so I impacted that statewide. And I was asked, what was one of my biggest things I got done while I was there. And that was to help provide an opportunity for students to earn industry recognized credentials while they're in high school, so that when you graduate from high school, you have skills in a specific area that meet industry standards and that you get a certificate for it. It might be in automotives and ASE, Automotive Service Excellence. It might be in construction with NATEF certification, and or CompTIA for computers. But we tried to address the three largest areas for employability, which is healthcare and biosciences, having programs in high school for that, and then information technology, computer engineering, digital imaging, digital media, in those areas, and a lot broader than that, but where students could earn certifications while they're in high school. And then also in the skilled trades, the three largest areas: healthcare, biosciences, the information technology, and then skilled trades are the biggest areas for employment opportunity for you. And so your high school might offer courses in those areas, as the schools around here in North Carolina do, where you can earn certification while you're in high school. And I was instrumental in implementing that in North Carolina, because I wanted my students, I don't care what school system they were from, but my students, when they graduate from high school, to have strong technical skills, strong academic skills. You need both of those, strong academics. You might be sitting in a class where you ask yourself, why do I need to know this? But you end up using it throughout your life. It might be in geometry, it might be in chemistry, it might be in physics, it might be in literature, it might be in music. You'll use those things in your life. And so get all you can in your academics and all you can in your technical education courses, because it's going to make you more marketable, more employable, and happier as you move through life. And that was my passion for being in education. So I did that for a long time. And I had the opportunity to retire when I was age 57, because I'd been with the state for a long time, and I wanted to look at, what am I going to do when I retire at age 57? And I really have always enjoyed skilled trades, and I said, well, I'm going to go into welding, and that's what I want to do. And when you find that you want to do something, one of the first questions you need to have is, how do I do it? How do I get involved in it? How can I be the best at it? So I went to the community college and spoke with the people there, and they said, we have a night program. I was working full time. They have a night program as well as a day program. And I got involved in that, and by the time I retired, I had earned a certificate from the community college. I had went to a testing center to have my welds x-rayed and things, and so I got a certificate from the community college as well as a national certification, and I became a welder, a mobile welder. And Richard and I are going to show you some stuff in a little while about what does it take to be a mobile welder. And, you know, I prefer to do mobile welding instead of working in a shop because I get to be out and about. And I get to do a variety of things being a mobile welder. And I don't have to upfit a shop. But in welding, you can get into manufacturing. You can get into prototyping. You can get into weld engineering, which is one of the largest growing areas. Metallurgy. There's all kinds of careers associated with welding. But I just chose to be a mobile welder. And we'll talk to you more about that later. But that's what I decided to do. And we're going to show you more of that in a little while.
Well, you know, something interesting, David. One of our scout leaders, Richard Cooper, his daughter Ellen is a welder for Pratt & Whitney up in Maine.
Oh, and I know that. And her skills are so precise and exacting. I couldn't even imagine what kind of money she's making. But the joy she gets from doing that. She even did ornamental weld. She got started off in ornamental welding, but she soon went very specific and very specialized. And you can do the same thing.
So it's not just the boys.
No, it's the girls. And actually, I do teach part-time at the community college welding. And I noticed that the ladies who are in the classes pay much more attention to detail and are more fluid with their movements and things when they're working, and they make very good welders. So guys, if you want to get into welding, you're going to have some tough competition. But pay attention to detail and accuracy, and learn all you can. Pay attention is a key thing.
There you go. Well, David, thank you. We're going to move over to your welding area and take some video of you explaining what you do. And I appreciate the interview here.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, welcome to my backyard. I'm a mobile welder, and I wanted to be a mobile welder so that I don't have to stay in one place. I don't really have a shop to speak of, but I can prep stuff out here in my covered area if I need to get ready for a job. But I do most of my work out of my truck, and I chose to go with a setup of pulling my welder around so that I can use my truck for other stuff. And so I'm going to show you my equipment that I have. It's not a lot of equipment. I don't need a lot for doing, mainly I do steel repair. I don't do a lot of aluminum. I do some stainless steel, but it doesn't require a lot of equipment. But this is my trailer that I have, and it has an engine-driven welder on it. It produces 11,000 watts, which is a lot of power. And on the front, I keep my oxygen and my cutting fuel, and then I have a storage box for my tools and equipment. And over here on this table, I have my tools laid out, and I'm going to show you that. But on my welder, I can pull off 120 volts or 240 volts, but then also I can pick my amperage, dial in my amperage. If I'm going to do stick welding, you know, I can weld up to 250 amps, and which will, you know, I can weld half-inch steel with that, multi-pass, and most of my welding is half-inch or less, and my equipment is geared towards that. I am certified to weld up to 1 inch, and but my equipment, we have cutting tools and things I'm going to show you to prepare the metal, and then we have clamps, clamp things in place. But we always want to think about personal protection equipment. We have welding. I always keep 2 welding helmets with me in case one gives out. I have a second one to go to. And these are auto darkening, very high quality helmets. If you want to get into welding, you want to put your money into a really good helmet to protect your eyes. And don't go with the off-brand, go with a really good name brand. I chose Lincoln because that's what I liked. I tried them out, but there are other brands, and they work good. Have face shields that we use for grinding and for cutting, and we have to protect our eyes. You only have 2 of them. But believe me, if you get a piece of metal in your eye, it's going to hurt. So I do wear safety glasses also. I'm going to take my regular reading glasses off and put my safety glasses on. They have side shields on them. And so personal protective equipment is prime. Helmets, face shields, protect your eyes. Also use hearing protection, because we use grinders and other machines and just the generator running. But we have hearing protection under a helmet. You can't really wear big things over your ears, so this type of hearing protection works out really well. Also for respiration, I have a respirator to wear if I'm going to be doing a lot of work right over the welds. I'll wear a respirator to keep that out of my lungs. A couple different kinds here. We want to protect our arms. We want to protect our body. We want to protect our everything we have. So it starts with the clothing you wear. 100% cotton. You don't want to wear anything with nylon or man-made stuff in there, because it could melt. Sparks hit you, it'll melt, it'll burn. But 100% cotton. These jeans I have on are fire-resistant material. They're 100% cotton, but they're treated. And then your shoes you wear, you're going to have hot slag falling, sparks falling down, and so good leather boots. These come up to about right here. My pants legs are over the boots, because if that hot metal goes down inside your boot, you're going to be stepping and jumping. And then steel toes, of course, because if you drop something, you don't want to hurt you. So your person had the way you protect yourself. It's very important. I have a leather jacket that if I'm going to do a lot of heavy welding, I'll wear my leather jacket. Today I'm going to wear sleeves. These are fire-resistant sleeves that I can wear to protect my arm. And on a 95-degree day, they feel good. Much better than the leather jacket. But if I'm welding overhead, I'm going to put the leather jacket on. I was welding a dump truck bed a couple of days ago, and I had to do overhead, so I wore my leathers. But then also, I wear my little beanie cap too, because I have to protect my head from the sparks getting on. So if I have my beanie cap on and my helmet on, very well protected. It's fun. You know, equipment's fun. It's like packing your backpack before you go on a camping trip. You want to make sure you have everything you need and not rely on somebody else. And then also leather gloves. Have leather gloves. For light work, I wear these light gloves. For heavy work, I wear these heavy gloves. So you can tailor your personal protective equipment to make you more comfortable while you're working. And so then also drink lots of water. When you're wearing all this heavy stuff, you need to stay hydrated, even if it's a cool day. So that's kind of the safety equipment I carry as far as personal protective equipment. Down the table a little ways, you see I have a fire extinguisher. Make sure that's with me. I also keep a jug of water in the trailer, in the truck, too. If I need to, if you don't know, I might be welding where something might spark on some debris or whatever. And I also carry a rake if I need to rake out the area where I'm working to move any straw or whatever out. I don't burn something up. So that's kind of the personal protection equipment that I have. And then the next thing is, how do I cut steel when I'm out? One thing I have is a cut-off saw here that I can cut steel with. It's very accurate. It's very smooth. It doesn't create a lot of spark, and so I have that. I also have various grinders that I use. I can put a cut-off wheel on there and use a grinder to cut with, and a couple sizes of those. Then I have a die grinder that I can use to get inside of area that I need to weld or fix or clean up. There's a die grinder. And all this equipment runs off of my welder, my generator welder. And one of the fun things down here on this next table that I can use to cut with is a torch. It uses oxygen and a fuel gas. Acetylene is one fuel gas, but I use propane because it's a little cheaper. And so I have a cutting torch that I can use to cut with. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you just a little bit right now. So back up a little bit. So I have an order for a flag holder for a gentleman to put on the front of his camper when he goes camping. And he has a 20-foot tall flagpole he uses, and he wanted a 6x12 base for it. I've got most of it cut out, and when you're marking and laying out, some tools I have are squares and marking tools, but I have it marked out 6x12. I'm going to cut with the torch. I like to clamp a guide on to make sure I get a straight edge. And so I carry various clamps with me and things to help me out. And I'm going to get my face shield and some gloves, and we'll cut a little bit.
Flame on.
Well, I'm going to light my torch. Again, it uses oxygen and propane. And what happens is the heat and the oxygen you put into it actually oxidizes the metal. And the pressure of the gases coming out blows the oxidized metal out of the way. So it doesn't really burn it, it oxidizes it. And the first gas we're going to turn on is the propane. And in school I learned how to do this. And then also from experience we learned how to do it. And I'm going to turn my oxygen on. And I'm going to turn both valves until I get a good flame. So I have my flame the way I want it. I'm going to pull my gimlet there. And I'm going to heat up the end of that metal till it gets red hot. And then I'm going to push this lever down and it will turn the oxygen on and we'll start our cut. That's fun. That is fun. And so I remove my clamp, and here's the 6x12, which is going to be the base. So now, for this customer, for their flag holder, they have a piece of steel tubing. They wanted it 12 inches long so their flag pole would sit down in it. And to cut it, I'm going to be using this cutoff saw. It has a carbide tip blade on it designed to cut steel. It's loud, so I do have my hearing protection in it. Protect yourself. I'm also going to wear my gloves. It won't take long to cut. I have my safety glasses on. I'm going to pull this down, keep any debris off my face. And we'll cut. Nothing works if you don't plug in. So you saw how nice that works. It gives me a good square cut, a really good prepared cut to make sure things are straight. It's small. It fits in my truck. As I said, I'm a mobile welder. I had to think about space and portability. And that's the vertical tube, the upright tube. And that's going to be welded to that piece of steel over there. So we have to do a little bit of prep work. I'm going to get set up for that, and then we'll come back. And welding is the melting of the two base metals, or your base metal. On this thing, it's the base metal of this plate and the base metal of the tube. It's the melting of those along with a filler metal. And there's one process. People call it stick welding. It's actually called SMAW, which is called a shielded metal arc welding, or SMAW is kind of the technical term for it. And it uses an electrode of filler metal. Now, in the center, there's the metal, and then it's coated with a flux. And from the heat, this flux will melt and produce a gas, an envelope around where the metal's melting, and it will keep impurities from the atmosphere getting into it. It protects the weld pool, the pool of molten metal, and it lets it cool off slower, and it protects it from the environment, and it's the shield. That's why they call it shielded metal arc welding, or SMAW. And there are different classifications, different types, depending on what you're doing. And that's one thing you learn in school, is what do you use for what application. And that's stick. People call it stick welding. Another process that I use out in the field is with a wire feed welder. This welder here. There's a spool of wire in there that provides the filler metal. It comes through the torch, the end of the torch, to where the spark is, where the melting is going on, and that's the filler metal. Now this one is called flux core, or FCAW, flux core arc welding. And inside this metal is flux. Just like what's on the outside of this metal, a flux, there's a flux, and when it melts, it produces a gas or an envelope that protects impurities from getting into the weld, and also helps it, some of the cooling properties. Not so much as stick, but it's called flux core arc welding. Now, wire feed welding, you can also do what we call GMAW, G-M-A-W, gas metal arc welding. And I would hook up a bottle of gas up to this machine, CO2, carbon dioxide, gas that would feed through, and it would come out to make a shield around the metal that comes out of the nozzle if I was using it in a shop. I don't use that much out on the field because wind can blow that gas away and it would mess the weld up. So I use mostly flux core if I'm out on the road. And that machine right there that I'll use. So I'm going to show you both. And both of them are fun because we get to make spark and heat and melt metal and stick things together. And but we always try to be as accurate as we can and know exactly what's going on so that for my customer, I can give them a real good product. All right. So the first one I'm going to do is this flux core arc welding. I need to turn my generator on. The first process is flux core arc welding through the wire feeder. I have my wire feeder and the machine set up according to the thickness of the metal I'm welding. And I have a work clamp coming from the machine. And I'll connect to what I'm working on. And then I have a gun. And I have my pliers, very important, my cutting pliers. So I'll cut the wire off to give me the right stick out. And you learn that stuff with experience. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few tack welds to hold the piece in place, and then I'll weld it out. And I put tack welds in there to hold it in place, also to keep it from tilting. The heat will cause warping. So you learn that you need how you process your sequence for welding to keep it working right. So watch this. So I put a little tack weld there to get it started. I'll do it on the other side. Over here. And over here. Just a few welds to get it started. Now when you're flux core welding and welding small with the stick, it produces a coating over your weld, what you've welded. So you want to clean that off before you go weld again. So we keep brushes with it to brush that off. You want to have a clean weld to keep impurities from being in the weld. We also can chip with a hammer if it was real crusty. So with what I'm doing, the brush works fine. So I have it tacked in place. I like to get my square to make sure that it's square or 90 degrees to the base. And it is. If it wasn't, I could use an adjusting tool. If it's way off, I could use a big adjusting tool. But it's right. because I welded it evenly around, set in place. And now I can weld it out. I'm going to do a little bit with this, then I'll do some more with the stick welding. Set it out. Take my brush, I'll clean it off, not too bad. I'm going to adjust my machine some because it's burning really hot. We'll do some on the other side. I wasn't getting a good ground. And you have to learn how to think and troubleshoot. Flux core arc welding. Now I'm going to show you stick welding on small. Here's my ground clamp on the big machine. Here's my electrode on my stick. This is called the stinger, or stick poker. And the clamp my stick in there. And I'm going to go around and show you this. This stick welding, one of the most versatile, more portable welding. So that's what stick welding is like. Let it sit a little bit and I can clean the work up. So I've demonstrated to you two processes, flux core welding and small or stick welding. This is a little flagpole holder that will go for the fella's camper. The processes I've showed you are transferable if you're making trailers or welding on a trailer hitch or making some type of grill or cooker or whatever. It's being safe, it's preparing your metals, being accurate, and making sure you have good welds. That's a simple weld right there.
Well done.
Well done, thank you. Richard, it's been fun. Scouts, campers, get all you can from your leaders. I'm glad you're participating in the virtual program. Mr. Connie and I, we've kept our social distance the whole time I've interviewed. Just be safe, and I encourage you to learn, grow, and get all you can. Have a good time.
Thank you, David. It's been wonderful. We appreciate your enthusiasm and your joy for working with Scouts.
Thank you.